Hello and welcome back to the Shutter Sports Refresh. This is the weekly show that brings you all of the most important news in sports. I'm your host Finn Noel, and let's get started as we have a huge week with a bunch of playoff games to cover. Let's start things off with the NBA playoffs, as this week has continued to show us some of the most entertaining playoff games in recent memory. Just yesterday, there were two games that were decided by just one possession each, and they both had some controversial calls from the referees. The first of the two to cover is the Lakers versus the Timberwolves. Now, on paper, this is a 3 seed versus a 6 seed, but really, if you look at the standings, there's only one game difference between these two teams, so it's a quite evenly matched matchup. The Lakers' lead was at 10 for the first three quarters, but in that fourth quarter, Naz Reid and Anthony Edwards had some clutch possessions, and that lead shrunk down. The Lakers ended up finding themselves down one with just 39 seconds left, and the legendary LeBron James turned over the ball on an inbounds pass and then fouled Anthony Edwards on the other end, giving him 2 free throws. Fans are a little bit upset about that foul call, but nonetheless, the Timberwolves are up now 3-1 in the series. And then the other close game that went down yesterday was another 3-6 matchup, the New York Knicks and the Detroit Pistons. And we have a little bit of deja vu between these two games, as the Pistons this time were up by 10 for most of the game, but squandered the lead in the fourth quarter. During that comeback, the Knicks were led by their two top scorers, Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns. Each of them had nearly a third of the team's total points. First, it was Jalen Brunson scoring with his mid-range and layups, and then it was Karl Anthony Towns with 2 huge shots, one from behind the backboard and one with a deep 3 ball to end up sealing the game for the Knicks. Down by 1, Detroit had a chance to win the game. The ball went out to Tim Hardaway Jr., who pump-faked, got his defender in the air, and ended up drawing a foul, but the refs didn't call anything, so there was no foul. New York ends up winning this game by 1, and the fans are really upset about this one. Now, like I mentioned, just about every series this year has had its exciting moments, but here are the rest of them as we don't have time to cover every single game. The Oklahoma City Thunder beat the Memphis Grizzlies in a sweep, although some of these games were very close. The next important series to mention is the Los Angeles Clippers versus the Denver Nuggets. That series is tied 2-2, and just about every single game has been a thriller. The 7-seed Golden State Warriors are leading against the number 2-seed Houston Rockets 2-1. Then moving over to the Eastern Conference, the Cleveland Cavaliers are leading against the Miami Heat 3-0, looking to sweep. That game will be tonight. The Indiana Pacers are up 3-1 on the Milwaukee Bucks because Damian Lillard ended up tearing his Achilles last night. He's going to be out for at least a year. And finally, the Boston Celtics lead against the Orlando Magic 3-1. And that's it for our NBA coverage, but we are not done with playoffs yet because the NHL is in the middle of its first round as well. Let's break that down. The biggest series so far in the first round has been the Battle of Ontario between the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Ottawa Senators. 3 of these 4 games have gone to overtime. In the first 3 games, the Senators led in total shots, but ended up losing the game. But in Game 4, it switched. The Leafs led in shots, but the Senators won, so not really sure what's going on in these games. Either way, the Maple Leafs won the first 3 games and were looking to sweep in Game 4, but Jake Sanderson of the Senators with a nice wrist shot sealed the game for the Senators in overtime and kept them alive. That series has been the most exciting, but again, we cannot have enough excitement in playoffs, so here are the rest of the series. The Florida Panthers lead the Tampa Bay Lightning 2-1 in the fight between 2 Florida teams. The Washington Capitals are leading against the upstart Montreal Canadiens, and that's 3-1. They'll be looking to end it on home ice very soon. And the Carolina Hurricanes are looking to do the same against the injured New Jersey Devils. They're up 3-1 as well. And let's move over to the West now, where all 4 series are tied 2-2. First off, in the Winnipeg Jets versus the St. Louis Blues, it went 2 games for Winnipeg and then 2 games for St. Louis, and those 2 wins for St. Louis looked very dominant, so we'll see how games 5, 6, and 7 look. Then we have the Dallas Stars and the Colorado Avalanche. Those teams have traded games back and forth, also tied 2-2. The Minnesota Wild and Vegas Golden Knights are looking evenly matched here, also tied 2-2. The Edmonton Oilers are playing the LA Kings, and they looked dead in the water last night, but after reviving the game and keeping their team alive, they're now tied 2-2 as well. And that's it for playoffs. Just kidding, we do have some soccer playoffs, so stay tuned for that at the end of the refresh. For now, let's get into the NFL draft, which happened a couple days ago. At the top of this draft, there were some bona fide superstars, namely Abdul Carter going number 3 overall to the New York Giants. This year's Heisman winner was Travis Hunter. He plays on offense and defense, very valuable asset. The Jacksonville Jaguars traded a lot of their future up to get him at the 2nd overall pick. And then the runner-up for the Heisman this year was Ashton Jeanty. He went 6th overall to the Las Vegas Raiders. And in terms of quarterbacks, the big name was Cam Ward, who went number 1 overall to the Tennessee Titans. But overall, this draft class wasn't too popular when it comes to quarterbacks, of course the most important position in football. And possibly the biggest quarterback name, Shedeur Sanders, ended up falling to the 3rd day and the 5th round, which was very surprising. He ended up landing on the Cleveland Browns. The PWHL came back this week after their April break, and their playoffs start on May 3rd. With just a few games to go, Victoire de Montréal and Toronto Scepters have both clinched their playoff spots. As for the Ottawa Charge and the Boston Fleet, they are each just 1 win away from sealing their spot as well. And if those teams clinch, that means last year's champions, the Minnesota Frost, are out of the playoffs, meaning we will have a new Walter Cup champion this year. Make sure to stay tuned to the refresh as we'll give you all the updates on that. And for our last piece of news, like I promised, let's break down the Champions League playoffs as we're getting close to the finals. That's right, this is the semifinals, and again, each matchup is playing 2 games against each other, and the total combined score of those 2 games becomes the winner and moves on to the finals. The 2 matchups were PSG versus Arsenal and Inter versus Barcelona. And as much as I wish I could give you the news of those games, they haven't gone down yet, so you'll have to come back to the refresh in a few weeks to see what happened in those games. But a couple of the European top leagues are finishing up. Liverpool has clinched the win in the Premier League. Congratulations to them. This is Liverpool's 3rd win of the Premier League in their team's history. As for the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th spots that will get the teams into the Champions League next year, there is still a bit of a fight between Newcastle, Chelsea, Man City, and Nottingham. Arsenal has already clinched 2nd place. Moving over to La Liga now, Barcelona is just a couple of points away from winning the whole thing. Their only competition is Real Madrid in 2nd. Atletico Madrid and Club Bilbao are in the Champions League spots as well. Moving over to Bundesliga now, Bayern Munich is now 1 win away from taking that home. They're sitting at 75 points. Some other top teams in Bundesliga has been Leverkusen and Frankfurt. Moving over to Serie A now, Napoli is in position to win the whole thing. They're sitting 3 points ahead of Inter Milan. And as for the rest of the Champions League spots, we've got Atalanta and Juventus. The rest of the pack is still close to those 2 teams though, so nothing is quite figured out. And as for Ligue 1, PSG has been the winner for weeks. They've still only lost 1 time. Just ridiculous. Thank you for watching this week's episode of the Shutter Sports Refresh. I've been your host, Finn Noel, and I hope you enjoyed watching and that you learned something today. You can check me, Shutter Sports Media, and the writer for this episode, Lucky Roberts, all on social media right here. Thanks for watching.